It's alive! It's alive! Looking ass dude. And by that, I mean I taught ChatGPT to check, aka roasting Memphis style on today's AI Roundup. Also, the internet loses its mind over Pope drip, and Will Smith wants to know your spaghetti policy. And friend of the show, Chill Neil, models for Balenciaga thanks to Midjourney and a few other tools. What's up, y'all? Happy Wednesday. I am Phil Buck, your host for another episode of AI Roundup, your weekly digest of AI-related stories to keep you up to date with this rapidly advancing technology. Today, we're inadvertently staying on theme for April Fools and unpacking the many ways that AI fooled the general public this week, or last week, I guess. But before we jump into those stories, I wanted to circle back to the bit I did at the top of the show last week. We tried out roastedby.ai, and it's a chatbot that will do its best to roast you. I felt like it left a lot to be desired, so being the tinkerer that I am, I had to see if I could train GPT-4 to roast me properly. Not only that, I took it a step further and I trained it to roast me in a specific style I told you all about last week. It's what we do in Memphis. It's called checking, and I am excited to say it worked pretty damn well. I think that it's kind of a crapshoot if the checks are actually going to be funny or not, but after only like a half an hour of prompting it and training it, I got some pretty good results. And here to share some of those results with you is my newly generated alter ego and friend of the show, Chill Neil. Oh, I only play bass when the keyboard and guitar are busy, multitasking ass dude. Dang, old podcast king, but can't find a real life friend to talk to, lonely ass dude. Phil Buck, the type of guy who secretly dreams of opening an AI-themed amusement park but can only afford a virtual reality headset in a garage full of cardboard cutouts. Oh, master of 3 instruments but still can't play a tune that gets him out of the friend zone, musical ass dude. Okay, not bad. I mean, not great, but not terrible. If you're wondering how I was able to create an AI-generated version of my alter ego, stay tuned to the use case segment at the end of the show where we'll be discussing exactly that. But for now, let's jump into our first actual impact story. In a story from Engadget by John Fingus, Midjourney has ended free trials of their service due to extraordinary demand and trial abuse. The internet was bamboozled this week by images of Donald Trump being arrested. And even more impressive, the Pope completely dripped out the frame. I gotta say, he is looking fresh AF in that jacket. And I will admit, the Trump images came to me in a group chat, no context, no other word, just the images. And it was timed well enough with the news about him being indicted that it fooled me for about 5 seconds. I mean, luckily, I do have a pretty keen eye for this. And I rarely trust anything on the internet these days, but clearly lots of other folks were fooled. One thing that crystallized this for me was I saw a tweet from Chrissy Teigen and it said, "I thought the Pope's puffer jacket was real and didn't give it a second thought. No way am I surviving the future of technology." So whether or not these images were the real reason that Midjourney ended their free trials, I don't think many folks would be surprised that a freemium style business model has made their shift into full monetization mode. I think the thing about this story that really struck me is just that we're having this moment where a portion of our population knows and understands what's happening with AI, and a different large majority of the population does not. I was actually talking with my brother this weekend about how I taught ChatGPT to do the checking, like at the top of the story, and he didn't know what ChatGPT was. When I explained it to him, he just sent back like question marks, and I was like, okay, so that just made me really want to take a moment to emphasize again the focus of this show, which is to educate people about what is going on with this generative AI technology. I mean, if you're learning ways to use it, if you're putting it to use as a developer, as a writer, if you're an artist and you're making images with Midjourney or Stable Diffusion and you're having fun with it, I just really want to encourage everyone to take a little time, speak to some of the other folks in your family, maybe your mom or dad, aunt, uncle, grandparents, I don't know. People don't realize that this stuff exists, like literally. They don't know that it's possible to do these things, that they've never even heard of some of these tools. A lot of times I forget that, being so inundated with it, seeing all the developments every day, I kind of assume that everybody does know this, but this is not different from, even the 2000s where people said, oh, you can't trust anything on the internet. It's obviously going way, way beyond what we had back then. I mean, you could just Photoshop stuff before and fool people. Now we have full videos being generated from text, which, I don't like to get up in arms about this stuff. I think it's good to take moments to learn about it, to be able to discern when the fake stuff is showing up. And I think that really is just going to lead great into our next story, where we need to zoom out for a little bit of the big picture and talk about Will Smith, but no, not for slapping anybody this time, but for eating spaghetti. Okay, so for our big picture story this week, zooming out a little bit, the internet is losing its mind over a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. Yes, look at that. Fascinating and terrifying at the same time. In an article from Ars Technica by Benj Edwards, AI generated video of Will Smith eating spaghetti astounds with terrible beauty. If you haven't seen this video yet, then I'm sorry to have cursed you with your first view of that very peculiar AI generation. So what is going on here? I guess if we're gonna lean into the whole April Fool's vibe and get up in arms about all the AI technology, let's just go all the way. This video is a generation of a new tool that has just debuted in the last week or so, Modal Text-to-Video. It's the open source version of some tools you may have already heard about on this shows, like Runway ML announced Gen 1 recently, which takes a video and reinterprets it based on a text prompt. Well, they have coming soon, it's in beta right now, Gen 2, which is going to do text-to-video completely without any other inputs. And it looks like Modal has beat them to the punch. You can use Modal on Hugging Face. It's one of those models you'll have to purchase some compute time if you want to use it. And the internet has gone crazy after seeing this video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. It is pretty hilarious. It's a little disconcerting. And I have seen people just kind of breaking down that this is the end. That we're doomed. This is the worst that it can possibly be. And I mean, I just gotta say, get real, man. Like, we were just looking at images of the Pope and Trump being arrested that look far more believable than these videos do. So I don't really see the FUD in this situation, but maybe it's just all in good fun to be outraged. If you want to try it out, go over to Hugging Space. It only generates 2-second clips. So people have been pretty creative about taking this and getting these short little results from their input and then smashing them together like you're seeing with this Will Smith video. The internet got so excited about this video that the site was overloaded with requests. I was unable to generate any videos myself because every time I tried, it was too much in demand, too much use at the time to use it. But a friend of the show, Willow at ThrilloThrash on Twitter, did do some pretty funny ones I wanted to share with you of Jordan Peterson eating crowns. I think that's a running joke of hers. So thanks for letting us share those, Willow. These are equally, if not more, terrifying than the Will Smith bit. If you're wondering why they all have a Shutterstock logo on them, no, it's not because this is in any way affiliated with Shutterstock. It's just that these videos were trained largely on a data set consisting of videos from Shutterstock. As you can imagine, it's probably pretty difficult to find a good data set to sample for something like this, but it is just really astounding to see how far that we've come with this technology. And it's hard to imagine that, just a year ago when generative AI was really taking over the zeitgeist, if you will, with image generation, that we would already be seeing video generation of this caliber. Now, I do want to take a second and just respond to the Twitter threads of people acting like, oh Lord, this is so bad, and we saw that with the previous story with the Trump stuff. I do think this is a great point when you see these technologies going viral and that people that have no idea that this stuff exists are finally becoming aware of it. Yes, maybe some of them were fooled, right? Like maybe some of them saw this and they think, oh my God, this is crazy that this could even be done with this technology. But I do think when this is happening, it's a great point for us to all pause, slow down, and just learn about it. Just learn how this is possible. Let it become part of the common knowledge. Because like we were saying in the previous story, the more that we educate ourselves on this technology, the more we're going to be able to discern when these things are trying to be used in earnest to deceive us. Which I do think, most of the people that are doing this stuff, like with the Pope drip, and especially with the Will Smith eating spaghetti, they're just doing it for fun. But it's like a game of telephone where the message goes from the person that created it down the line to people sharing it, to people that have no clue why this video would exist. And so while people are being fooled, and maybe for a day or two they think something that is totally untrue is real, it's a good chance for us all. If you're interested in AI, if you're exploring the technology, again, this is the chance when these things are popping off. Make sure you get some words in there with people. Let them know how this stuff works. Explain it to them. Hopefully they'll get interested enough to start doing some research themselves, and maybe, who knows, start making some of their own very disturbing videos. And speaking of very disturbing videos, I think it's time to head on over to the use case segment of the show, where we're going to be looking at Harry Potter in Balenciaga. All right, so for our use case today, at the top of the show, I shared with you my AI generated avatar of the character Chill Neil. And if you're wondering how I did that, or I don't know how you haven't seen these, if you're wondering how people have been making these Balenciaga videos, it's a huge viral trend that's going on YouTube. And I've seen the videos on TikTok and other places as well, making the rounds. But basically what's happening is people are using Midjourney to generate popular movies and TV shows in the style of a 1990s Balenciaga fashion show. They're taking the prompts, they're generating the characters, and then they're adding in a couple more tools to animate them. And that's what we did here for this segment. If you saw the Chill Neil bit where he is looking very fresh, probably the freshest beanies and robes I've ever seen on Chill Neil. Well, if you've enjoyed that video of Harry Potter and Chill Neil, they're all over YouTube right now. I'm sure they'll probably run their course soon. If you're interested in trying this out for yourself for fun, or maybe for some other purpose, you will need to have a Midjourney account, and I will link up the artist Demon Flying Fox, who has been making some of the most popular ones, has a pretty great tutorial that I followed. Also, one that goes even more in depth was from Prompt Jungle. So I'll include both of those links in the show notes. But you'll start with Midjourney, get your images generated. If you follow those videos, they'll give you some ideas on prompts, and in fact how to get several prompts without having to do it all by yourself. Then you're going to roll over to another site called 11 Labs. And 11 Labs, I actually skipped this one for my videos because I just voiced the character myself. But what is going to happen on 11 Labs is you can feed in a sample of someone speaking. So if you're going to do Walter White or Harry Potter, whoever, you take some video clips, pick out the audio, and then you can use 11 Labs to make that voice so it sounds pretty close to that real character. And once you have those audio files, the last step is you want to jump over to another site, DID. And this is where you can take all the assets that you have, the images of your characters, the voice, put it all together, feed it the audio, and it will generate this video of your character speaking. It does some kind of weird head movements and blinking, which didn't work very well for Chill Neil since he's wearing sunglasses. It kept making his sunglasses blink, which was very disturbing. But I had a ton of fun with this. I gotta admit, when I first saw the Balenciaga videos making the rounds, they really cracked me up. I think some of the best ones, the reason that they work so well is the music in the background really sends it home. Otherwise, it's, once you know what's going on here, it's really not that impressive. And the rate at which people are making these, I'm pretty sure this trend will be done by next week. We'll see. Hopefully some people will come up with some original ideas. So I gotta say, for this use case, just last week, I was kind of dissing on the AI stuff, the AI art, saying, hey, I don't know that there's really great commercial or creative uses for this AI art, but look at what these guys are doing. I mean, it's amazing. They're just taking the different assets, the different processes that are available, using the free trials in a lot of cases to generate these videos. And as of the time of this taping for this episode, that video for the Harry Potter Balenciaga had nearly 4 million views. So to say that there's not commercial purposes for this, I'd be very surprised if that creator is not making a pretty penny off YouTube monetization with this. So it is crazy what changes from week to week. Who knows what we'll be seeing. All right, before we sign off for today, I'd love to point you to some other shows that we'll be releasing on the MSP Media Network soon. Later today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Ray Orsini will be bringing us a new Partner First webinar focusing on connecting the dots, a holistic approach to resolving network and SaaS issues, featuring John Harden and Nolan Green of Alvik. On Friday this week at 5 p.m. Eastern, a show that I'm proud to produce, 38 at 38 with Aaron Bolton, will be rolling out episode 11, featuring special guest Louis Lugo. And it is a really funny episode. Make sure you guys check that one out. And last but not least, on Tuesdays and Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, MSP Dispatch presented by the MSP Media Network.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and I'm a jobaholic. We all have something in common. We all have a worst job story. Each episode, I'll welcome one guest to share their most insane worst job story. And in return, I'll share one of mine. Join me the first Friday of every month for new episodes of 38 at 38.
And that's our AI Roundup for today. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to join the MSP Media Network Discord. The link is in the show notes, or you can hit the QR code on the screen. Just scan it. It'll take you right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media at MSP Media TV. If you have any questions, you can email news@mspmedia.tv for answers on the next episode, or leave us a voicemail, 833-MSP-Network. Until next time, I'm Phil Buck. This has been your April 5th edition of AI Roundup. See you next time.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.